To here with a truck full of onions. Come on, we're looking for entrepreneurship. Tackle the imported vegetable account head on, and you've solved nearly all the problems. It's incredible. More of that later. Because by 2050, we're going to see 1 billion nomads on this planet. 10 billion people, 1 billion people in nomadic things. Beware the developed world, because this is your reality, not mine. In 1995, the E7, which is UK, USA, France, Germany, Japan, Canada, and Italy. Think of that bunch of countries. They don't have anything like the population of the world. And they were half in size of the G7. Sorry, the E was China, India, Indonesia, Brazil, Russia, Mexico, and Turkey. By 2050, the E7 could be double the size of the G7. So you have a voice now. It's vaccination, not just vaccines. It's adding value in country, which is what I'm going to talk about this afternoon. That is, if this was the cotton, from picking the cotton to making the shirt, in red and orange, it's where it's done elsewhere, and just here is done in the developing world. We've got to change this. We've got to change not just investment, but capability. You know, we don't want to just buy a load of tractors. We want to train the tractor drivers and have the spares and the maintenance contracts in position. We need to make things that are adaptable, accessible, and absolutely clearly affordable. We need natural capital. We've got to be getting ready for zero carbon. We need renewable energy. You've got methanol, ethanol, all sorts of options with that. You've got all sorts of things we need to do on medicine, all sorts of things we need to do on food. This planet will need 70% more food by 2050. And I know that you're all going to graduate and you'll be in a mortarboard and you'll get your certificate. But learning has to continue. Life learning is what it's about. So in my view, I rest my case. Are we interested in just value, getting products in the developing world ever better, cheaper, and faster to the developed world? Or are we seriously going to look at what are we going to have to do to reach 2050 in a sustainable manner? And how can we make things happen? How can we transform the value stream? And I believe that is a matter of values rather more than it is a value of blind faith to value. Thanks. You have been listening to the great Chinese sage, On Too Long. Thank you. I couldn't get access to broadband. And I was rather shocked at myself because I couldn't do anything. Because all of this stuff was on Dropbox. So I couldn't actually download it. And so where I am making the distinction, I'm saying you've got to have a framework, you've got to have an infrastructure, you've got to have roads, you've got to have broadband these days, you've got to have functioning ports. So that's really only the people who've got the cash over the long term. Because, you know, to build an airport, you can't build it inside the life of one parliament. You've got to have planning permission, you've got to have all sorts of things. So infrastructure is a long play. You know, I do a lot of work in Canada. The pension funds in Canada own virtually all the infrastructure in Britain. All of the ports in Britain, Associated British Ports, that's 27 of the ports. There are a few more, but 27 of them are owned by the Ottawa Teachers Pension Fund. Now, I'm not questioning that. I'm saying that you've got to have a long-term function which actually gets the infrastructure and the framework in place. But increasingly, I'm seeing the entrepreneurial ecosystem of those small businesses growing fast with support as the real requirement. So no, I'm not saying let's bring back these high-spending governments because we've been there before. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, again, is that we've got a situation where, to take Ghana, we are working with Project Kenton now. Post-harvest losses, we started with a problem. Now, we looked at this problem, and there were lots and lots and lots and lots of conventional ways of looking at this. You know, it's very clear. You've got roughly 40% of the harvest is lost on the way to market. So there's lots of reasons for this, and I won't go into all of those details. That's for this afternoon. But one thing I learned pretty quickly was if I turn on its head the whole question, because I was getting a little bit tired of people saying, you're not going to be able to change the mindset. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do this. And I got so many people saying you can't do something that, frankly, maybe I'm just a born rebel. I hate it when people do that. So I just disagree. And then I met a load of students at RMU, and it sounded just like the chair. A load of young people. There was a girl came up to me and she said, she was so excited. She said, would you help me out a little bit because I've just launched my own business, it's pineapple juice. That's great. And then another person came up. You know, literally nearly everybody in the room wanted to be an entrepreneur. We did 4 sessions. Did a lot workshop-y style as well, where everybody had to work in teams. So I was seeing people who wanted to do things, and I'm kind of feeling that here already, having been around what's happening here. So our solution is going to be, we want to create a triangle. And I'm going to talk about it this afternoon because I had a fantastic flight down from Amsterdam with a 28-year-old Ghanaian who's a chef. And I won't say any more, but he was an inspiration to me, and he answers your question, I think. That what we've got to do is change that mindset. In terms of the smallholders, there's a very good example of what I think we've got to do. Ginger is a big deal globally at the moment. A lot of it comes from the Shandong province, 80% of it actually, in China. So that's not true. If you take the hectares in China of ginger, it's 4% of the hectares devoted to ginger on the planet, all right? But actually, the Nigerians have something like 60% of the hectares on the planet. But the Chinese have 80% of the export market. So on 4% of the hectares, they've managed to secure the standards, secure the packaging, secure the value chains, and with that in place, totally wipe the floor with every country on the planet. We have to do that here. We've got to stop importing so much. This is critical. And it's not complicated crop. If it was, that'd be another story. I'm talking onions. I'm talking tomatoes. Just to get us going. And then we get really serious.
Value for you. I said, no, I have no knowledge in snails. The only thing I know how to do with snails is when they are in my okra stew. So the student started coaching me. He said, the snail, the shell, high nutrients in calcium. The fruit is what we eat. The droplets, nutrients in manure. So I said, do you know the most expensive part of the snail? I said, no. He said, the purple liquid. That in those days, our parents would tell us, when you put it in the soup, it will make it nice. If you don't know how to cook, it won't change anything. So fortunately, there was an opportunity to write a business plan competition, and this gentleman, I asked him to apply. He won 6,000 euros from my department, and we took him to Germany. He got in touch with a company in Germany who decided, they are into making creams and stuff, who decided to invest in his business. Now, this young graduate from the University of Cape Coast has the largest nail farm in BA. He's driving in V8. V8, a young graduate from the University of Cape Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, there are opportunities. I was expecting to see a program for students with people standing all over, but we had to come and wait for students. Things that matters for us, things that are treasure to us, we don't approach it with all the seriousness. And I believe today, as we go out from this door, our mindset must change. And today, on your way to Amamuma, Solo Clothing, he's sewing. It may not be perfect, but soon we'll see perfect things coming from people like you. I'm not going to sum what Bob has said. He has motivated you enough to reason and think outside the box. Today, as we live here, don't only be in your comfortable zone. Move out of your zone. If it is music, look, a lot of you, the courses you read were chosen by your parents, who one way or the other have failed in becoming what they want. For instance, my mom wanted me to be a medical doctor. She worked at Kolebu and probably fantasized about medical doctors. Then he said, my son must read science without looking at my skill set. I went to do science, visited Kolebu one day, saw a dying patient, accident patient with blood oozing out, and I collapsed. You know collapse? When you collapse, you pass out. And that was when I realized medicine wasn't my field, and I had to divert into business. So I read physics, chemistry, biology, maths at the secondary school, wanting to become a medical doctor. And when I started reading business, I didn't also assess my skill set. I went to read finance, doing some, mathematically, I'm very good. So I thought finance was my field. So I went to do finance, drawing models here and there without having money. Wasting my time until I came across entrepreneurship. And the current Pro-VC is my mentor. She is the only one who read entrepreneurship around that time. And I said, okay, then let me do my PhD. Merge the finance I have done with entrepreneurship. And now all the money I have is through that. I just do one training, and it's enough to take care of my family for 1 year. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been given what you want. You have heard from your dean. You may be doing 30 credit hours. People have done worse than you. Those who came to UCC before us, go and ask them. Your position is not worse than our Greek students. You know students from our Greek. They take courses, I call them academic prostitutes. They take courses from every department, yet they make it. It's just that we don't know how to manage our time. You have time to watch Korean series. You have time to go on social media. You have time to learn songs. I'm not saying social media is not bad, but how do you use social media and make money? How do you watch that Korean series and make money? How do you use your spare moments in making money? And that is what you need to learn.
Opportunities that comes with agro-business when we are talking about entrepreneurship. So the project on the wings we are running this series is a project being sponsored by British Council, and they call this project Innovation for African Universities. And the project is to promote culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in universities in Africa. And the idea is we should be able to translate the ideas we generate into marketable or usable products. That is, society should benefit from the ideas we generate from the labs, from the classrooms. We should be able to translate to something that will be useful. So that is all the IAU project is about. Now, we have an offshoot of the IAU project we have dubbed GBPI. That is Ghana-Britain Partnership for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And our core mandate is to promote innovation among the youth in Ghana and also bring light, in fact, invite the media, bring light to the things we are doing in our universities that translates into solutions in our communities, which are not being trumpeted. So the idea is to bring it to the fore of the general public, what we are doing as academics. We have gathered here to brainstorm. In fact, one of the areas the IAU project recognized, in fact, looking at what pertains in Africa, is the agro-business. In fact, that is where our strength lies. And if we talk of agro-business, what comes to mind is the post-harvest losses. The post-harvest losses. In fact, if you can even solve that problem alone, in fact, you will make huge impact.